All right, so we have two videos here. We had one on set builder notation on an older platform that I used, and then this one's going to be on interval notation. Now, interval notation's got, we'll use it in pre-calculus, but if you go on to calculus, you're really not going to use interval very much. You're going to be using much more of the set builder. So in interval notation, we have three basic brackets. We're going to have these curved brackets like so. They're parentheses. These are they do not include. So these are going to not include a number. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. For those, if you think back in Algebra 1, these were like your open dots on a line, on a graph that it doesn't include that number. When it comes to inequalities, this is going to be your less than or greater than because there's no equal to. All right, so that's one set of brackets that we're going to have in. The other set of brackets are these squared off brackets. This is going to include the number. Totally misspelled include. There we go. Include the number. And for those of you from Algebra 1, if you think of it, like your solid dot where you actually go up and touch that number. In terms of inequalities, it's going to be your less than or equal to or your greater than or equal to. All right, so these are your two standard ones. You're going to use these pretty much on every one of them. One that you're not going to use very often is kind of like the set note, the set bracket. And this is for only. And this is simply the equal sign. It only equals this. It doesn't come up very often, but it does come up every now and then. And there's one last symbol we need to use, which is going to be a U. This is read as union. Totally don't think I spelled that right, but whatever. But that's union, and as you get into writing these, this is kind of like your connector, like if you have a jump. So let's take a graph, for instance. If I have a graph that looks something like this, coming up to here, say that there's a hole here, and then we have another piece. We have just a solid dot here, and then we have another piece that's going out like this. All right, let's call this 1, 3, 7. Let's call this over here. And say I want to know the domain of this graph, and I want it written in interval notation. So we're going to start left to right. If you remember, domain are our x's, so we're going this way, left to right. If I ask for range, we're going up and down. So we're going left to right. So we're going to come up to the very first number that we see. There's no arrow here, but I have a hole. So I'm going to come over here and look at the hole. It tells me I have to use parentheses. So my domain for this is going to be, we're going to start with the parenthesis because of the hole. We're going to put the x value, -8. We're going to go all the way up until it ends. Well, it ends at 1, and this is a solid dot. So we're going to do 1, and we're going to do a bracket. Now we're going to jump over, so this is going to be my union. Now I just have 3, and only 3. And then it's going to jump again. That's going to be this. This is not going to come up very often, but we're going to do more piecewise functions, so you will see sometimes with this. And then we're going to do union. I'm going to come to the next line because we're going to have another jump. And we're going to come over to 7, a solid dot. Solid dot means a square bracket. We're going to do a square bracket at 7. And now we're going out to infinity because the arrow means it's going forever this direction. Now, because we can never reach infinity, it can't be included, and it can't be just only infinity. So we're going to use a curved bracket. And that is your domain for this graph. Not terribly bad. This should be stuff that you've done in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. I made a little bit of my geometry kids do this. So not horribly bad. Just a little refresher. This part you probably haven't seen. If it's just a single individual point, it's just that. Because it's only 3 at that point. Hi, I'm Mr. Buzzard, and these videos are supplemental instruction for my students. If you found the video enjoyable, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe, as well as the bell for notifications to receive future videos on high school mathematics.